In the beginning, there was nothing. Then happens Big Bang, says science. On the other hand, in the beginning, there was nothing and God created heaven and earth, says religion. So, what if both are pointing to the one single truth but approaching in a different way? So, let's try to observe and understand what it means at the beginning there was nothing and everything happened later. Let's find out from this verse 40 of Tao Te Ching. Hi, welcome back to OneUs. Today it's day 40 and we will be looking at verse 40 from Tao Te Ching. As usual, let's observe a few seconds of silence. Alright, so now let's look at verse 40. So before I begin, I quickly just want to point out that I'm neither an authority on any religion nor I'm a scientist to know all this particle physics and atomic physics and etc. And what I'm sharing today, it is purely based on my perspective and my understanding. So that way, you have to bear with me. The verse 40 is the shortest verse in the whole of Tao Te Ching. At the same time, it is so profound that it talks about creating from nothing. In exact words, it says, being arises from not being, which is so profound, and that is where we are going to explore a little bit on understanding the first truth, that is, before anything that is created in the whole world, what was there before that? So we know from the law of thermodynamics that the energy can be transformed from one form to the other, but neither can be created nor can be destroyed. What it means? The energy cannot be created nor be destroyed, so it's always there. It's just taking different forms. And the other side, by the Einstein E is equal to mc squared, talks about the collision of energy can create particles. What does it mean is the energy, when it collides with each other, it can create particles and matter. And we are all made up of matter, which is nothing but atoms. Now, when we go further and to understand about atom to a subatomic level, then we have to go inside the atom. Then we find electron, neutron, proton, right? So again, further, the science split the protons and then find out there was something called quarks. And then further again, the smallest particle in the whole of the universe and the cosmos, which is filled with an abundance, it's called neutrino. Interestingly, today I came across one of the three neutrino they talk about is Tao neutrino. Interestingly, the word it matches with Tao Te Ching, but I'm sure it is coincidence and nothing beyond that. However, I find it interesting because it says Tao neutrino. And what they talk about the neutrino is, it is the tiniest particle that ever found. And it is there everywhere. It is absolutely, it's become like, it is absolutely nothing. Literally, there is no density, mass or volume, nothing. It is just zero, closer to zero in a size. And they say that the neutrinos doesn't interact with matter. So what they mean is, it can pass through us. At the same time, at this moment, as I'm speaking to you, the neutrinos are passing through me and then doesn't affect any of those things. Because when we go further down, all we find is the particles becoming energy. An energy which was always there and cannot be created nor be destroyed. So that is a scientific argument of what was there. There was an energy. And all we are talking about Tao teaching is understanding or aligning ourselves with that energy. That's all it is. So now let's look at religion. So religion, obviously one common thing in any of the religion is the word God. They refer to God as a being, someone who created it. Right? That's what they say. In the beginning, there was nothing, and then God created heaven and earth. So what does it mean? So to illustrate my point, let me give you an example. When we come across a beautiful painting, the first thing is we feel attached to that painting. It feels like, so much the paintings talk to us. We feel attracted to it, and then we feel awe towards it. So over a period of time, we become so curious that we want to know who is the artist. And then we want to know more about him, about, oh, what is his nature is like? Where is he? And how did he create this? Such a beautiful painting. And then we want to know more and more and more about the artist more than the painting itself. Likewise, how I see is, when the earth was formed, when the human beings are evolved, the first thing what we did was, we kind of admired the whole of nature. And in fact, we started worshipping nature, be it be the sun, be it be the moon, or be it be the water, be it be the fire. We started worshipping these elements and forces of nature. But we cannot just admire it, right? We need to have a rational and intellectual answers to it. And that is when, oh, if all it is so beautiful, who created it? We wanted a creator. Like how we wanted an artist for the beautiful painting, we needed a creator. And obviously, when we have an argument saying that, oh, if there is energy, who created the energy? And we wanted to say that is God. Because that is an easier way. Because most of the religion talks and represent God as a being in a way of human being. Right? It is not something else or someone else. It's not in any other form, but in a human form. Rather, we can create that God as a light form, as an energy form, then everything is sorted. And then we started describing the God. Oh, the God is like this and that. And because it is all speculation of mind, it is kind of intellectual reasoning and rational ways to answer the complex question. So we came up with the various religion. We started seeing the same thing as an energy form, the light form, in different forms. When I say different forms, as the different beings. That's what happened. And that's how I see what led to religious view. However, when someone points to God and the science points to energy, both are talking about the same thing as a source. So with that thought, let's go into this verse and try to understand. Returning is a motion of the Tao. Returning, what Laotzu means here is a cyclic nature of the Tao. That is, it can be seen in everywhere, like it can be day and night, and it can be seasons and etc. However, here specifically, we like to point out that it is creation and destruction, and then also birth and death. Everything that has been born has to die. It is a cyclic nature, and that's where they say life is nothing but a journey between the birth to death. That's all. So eventually, everything that has been formed has to go through and return to the source, become one with energy. That's what returning is, the motion of the Tao. Yielding is the way of Tao. So how is that the yielding is the way of Tao here? We know the yielding is nothing but surrendering, being humble. It is letting go of our ego. The moment we understand that everyone is going to die, and then we don't have to fear death. It is just that we are going to take another form, right? We are all being energy form. We are all going to return to the same source, which is nothing but energy. So when we are going back into the energy, we don't have to fear death. The moment we accept death, then we can live every single moment with happiness. And that is a way he talks about being humble, that is, yielding is a way of Tao. And then he goes on to say that 10,000 things arise from being. The word being, I refer here as a mass or a particle, how science like to call it as, right? So that is something that we can comprehend, like it can be neutrinos we are talking about, or quarks or atom. That is a basic element that gave birth as a being. And being arises from not being. That is a beautiful line. Imagine being arises from not being. So the particle arises from the energy. That is what the science says. The collision of energy creates particles. Thus, there is a form created, that is you and me. And that is a being, that every single creation that we see right now, it's nothing but that. So this verse primarily talk about the moment we understand this nature of of the Tao, the cosmos, the universe, the birth and death, the moment we understand death, then we become humble. The moment we become humble and surrender ourselves, then we return to the source. The moment we return to the source and be one with understanding that we are nothing but energy beings, and then we go back to energy, then we live in harmony with everyone and everything around us. And that is the crux of this verse in my understanding. With that, let's talk about one actionable thought. So the one actionable thought for today is, today at any given point in time, if you find and catch yourself having a talk, the tiny little voice in your head, which is nothing but an egoistic voice that if you hear, catch it. And then remind yourself that you're nothing but energy being. It's all what we see and perceive and what we return to, it is to the same source. There is no need to be egoistic. Instead, just surrender ourselves. Let go of our ego and be humble. The moment we be humble, we don't need to argue. We don't need to fight things. We just allow things. Because we know the truth is, we all energy being and then we all go back to the same energy beings. That's all it is. So with that thought, let's conclude day 40 and talk to you tomorrow. Thank you.